What's up, everybody? I'm back with yet another tutorial, and today I'm going to be showing you ladies how to get wifed up, and for fellas, I'm going to show you how to get you the girl of your dreams. We're making steak and lobster today, an easy surf and turf. As you can see, it has shrimp, steak, and lobster with some asparagus and some mac and cheese. You can find my mac and cheese recipe in the description box down below, and I'm guaranteeing y'all this is going to get you cuffed. This is what's been missing in your love life. So keep watching, and I'm going to show you how to be the rawest chef in the kitchen. Alright, y'all, so the ingredients and the exact measurements are in the description box down below, so make sure you check that out. I'm just starting off with this expensive like little T-bone steak. Like, steak and meat prices have been super high lately because of the coronavirus. But anyway, take your steak of choice out. I'm using T-bone steak, and you're just gonna pat it dry with a paper towel to make sure that it's not moist, not wet. Remove all of that gunk off of it. And I made sure to rinse my package because I know I'm about to season it on top of the package. But when you're grocery shopping nowadays during the quarantine, make sure that you rinse all of your packages off. So I was straight doing that. You can use sea salt or any ingredients that you like to season your steaks and meat with. You can even use steak seasoning, like McCormick Montreal seasoning for steak. Personally, I just like salt and pepper because it just brings out and focuses on the meat flavor of the steak, not getting masked by garlic and onion powder and all type of stuff. Salt and pepper is going to make the best steak, I guarantee it. So I'm just going to season both sides. Why? Because we eat both sides generously with some freshly ground pepper and some sea salt. Sea salt or kosher salt will work for this. Try to use a healthier version of salt, the one with the girl with the umbrella on it. Not the healthiest, but if that's what you have, then make do with what you have available. And as you can see, I'm not being shy with the seasoning. This is a thick cut of meat, so make sure that when you're serving this to the person that you're trying to impress, you're not lacking on the seasoning side. We need to have all that flavor in here. Then next, I'm just taking a 4 to 5 ounce size lobster tail, and I'm soaking it in cold water because I received it frozen. And I'm also going to throw in my prawns. You can use shrimp. Prawns are just like a bigger version of shrimp, in my opinion. And I'm just soaking them in water and cleaning them, making sure they're deveined and removing all that boo-boo from out of them because we don't want no dirty seafood. And I'm just peeling my shrimps / prawns and just making sure all of that is ready to go once we start grilling it. Then I'm using some kitchen shears. You can also use the butcher knife method to cut open your lobster. I'll link a video on how to open up a lobster for when you're grilling and putting it in the oven. Super easy. All I'm doing is just cutting down the middle with my shears, and I'm splitting it open carefully in like a little butterfly motion. And I'm just gonna wiggle out the meat so it could be open, so it could be like a little butterfly lobster and expose all the meat. And also make sure that you're discarding of any of the fragmented pieces of the shell because you don't want your loved one or your boo to be biting into a lobster shell. That's not romantic. That's not sexy. So as you can see, I'm just being careful, making sure I'm not cutting my hands, making sure I'm getting the most of the meat showing, and just making sure that this is perfect because we want this to be perfect, y'all. We don't want to mess up. We're trying to impress people here. We're not trying to look like an amateur. And as you can see, I got it open. So now all that's next is to just get everything seasoned. And I also have my shrimp peeled. I'm going to be seasoning it on a plate. You could drain it. Make sure you drain the water. I didn't drain the water from the plate, but it's not going to really do nothing to it. And that's because I'm just perfecting everything right now, just making sure everything is perfect before we put it into the oven. And I'm still struggling with it like a little bit, but I'm going to just go silent right now so y'all can see, like, get some little tips. And then now I'm just going to go in with my OG seafood seasoning, which is launching this week by the time I release this video. This is my seafood seasoning. It's going to be on sale on my website. That's going to be in the description box down below. You can also use Old Bay or even some salt, pepper, and paprika will work. I like to use my seafood seasoning because it's a combination of a lot of different flavorful seasonings, so it really brings out the oomph in your seafood. And I'm just seasoning generously my prawns. I'm only putting a little bit on the lobster because I don't want my lobster to get lost in seasoning. I want it to still have that nice pearly lobster color. And I'm also going in with the kitchen staple. I'm going in with some Tony's Creole seasoning. You can also use Slap Your Mama, Louisiana, any Cajun seasoning that you prefer. And I'm just gonna season both of those generously because seafood be needing flavor. And then I'm only putting this Sazón Goya on the prawns. And today is gonna be the last day I'm using Sazón Goya, y'all, in one of my recipes because they're Trump supporters, and on this channel we don't support Trump. Okay, so I'm just gonna be seasoning my prawns with the last of my Sazón Goya seasoning. I'm gonna have to make my own, obviously, and I'm gonna season the other side after mixing it a little bit with some Creole seasoning. And then I'm just gonna go in with a little bit of paprika, which I'll be showing in the next clip. Just some smoked paprika, or you can use Spanish paprika. I'm just mixing all of that together because why we eat both sides and we want the flavor to be popping through. And then we're just gonna let this sit. You can also hit it with like a little bit of lemon juice as well. That complements the seafood. And I just filled up a cast iron skillet with about, I would say, like a 1/4 inch of water, so it can steam the lobster and make the lobster juicy. You could just put enough water to cover the bottom of the pan. Like, it really doesn't depend on measurements, as you can see. And I'm just positioning my lobster carefully so that it cooks evenly throughout and we don't have like no lopsided, like silly looking lobster in the pan. And I'm just making sure that there's no shell fragments, that we're not biting into no lobster shell, that everything is straight by the time we plate everything. So yeah, just make sure it's all pretty. Then I'm heating up a cast iron grill pan, and I'm gonna plop down my steak. I covered the bottom of this cast iron skillet with some olive oil. You can also use vegetable oil, but I like the smoke point of olive oil. And once your cast iron gets all smoky, that's when you can lay down your steak. I have it on medium-high heat. And once you put in your steak, you want to maintain the heat so you can lower it down to medium, so it's not too smoky in your house, because it was smelling like Burger King up in there. It was very hot, and it's the summertime. We don't want to be slaving over no stove. So just cook that for about 2 minutes on each side, 2 to 3 minutes, depending on how done you like your steak. And once you get a nice crust, which will begin to see once they're cooking it, then you can just flip it over. And as you can see, it has some nice grill marks. So I'm just gonna leave the other side of the steak on 2 minutes as well, so we can get a nice even coating on both sides of the steak. So now I'm taking a sprig of fresh rosemary. You can also use some thyme. And I'm using 2 tablespoons of butter and a tablespoon of minced garlic. You can also just use like 2 to 3 garlic cloves. And I'm just basting the butter, rosemary, and garlic mixture over both sides of the steak. Make sure you're maintaining your heat where it's not too hot, where it's burning the butter and burning your garlic, because we don't want any bitterness in the steak taste. Basting it is going to make sure that your steak is juicy and flavorful. It's going to add that oomph to your steak where it's just not plain. It's going to be nice and juicy, like I said, and it's going to be perfect for whoever you're cooking it for. So you're just going to do this to both sides. The technique I'm using is tilting it towards me gently and carefully, so I'm not popping myself with no butter and oil, and I'm also not starting a grease fire. I'm just taking a spoon and scooping up the mixture and pouring it all over the steak, getting about every inch of it so it can ensure that it's infused with all of these good flavors. So just keep doing that to both sides. You don't want to miss any crucial spots. And this is going to take your stuff to the next level. You can also do this with like salmon, all type of stuff. So now I'm gonna cut the white parts off of my asparagus, as you can see, because we don't need that. Those be like real tough and hard to eat. And you just want to keep the green parts of your asparagus. And then we're just gonna add that to our grill pan once again after we remove our steak. And you can season your asparagus with whatever you usually season your vegetables with. I like to use salt, like a little bit of garlic powder. You can also use some lemon pepper. For some reason, I couldn't find my lemon pepper. Cajun seasoning salt, like anything works. But I like to tell people, just keep it simple. Like, you can also like incorporate some citrus flavors. That's where the lemon pepper comes in. You don't want to over season your food where it's losing its identity. You just want to keep stuff simple. So let's just go ahead and get these nice and grilled. The way to know that your asparagus is done is once it starts to have grill marks on it and gets a nice vibrant green color. You can also stick a fork or a knife through it, or take like a little bite of the asparagus and see if it's tender enough. But just sticking a knife through it, and once it goes all the way through effortlessly without like a little resistance to it, that's when you know it's done. And I'm just tossing those around. I'm just gonna add in my shrimp slash prawns. These are some juicy, like big old prawns. So it's getting a little smoky in here. And since these are pretty big, I'm gonna cook these for about 2 minutes on each side. Depending on how hot your pan is, it might go for more or less time. And depending on how big or small your shrimp or prawns are, it could also affect the time. So adjust as needed. But like I said, I'm just going to be grilling these until it's cooked all the way through, which is going to take about 2 to 3 minutes until it gets this nice color. And this is just indicating to me that this is ready to eat, and these are done. So it's got a nice little caramelized crust on it. And then I just served this with some mac and cheese, which I have the recipe for in the description box down below. And my steak and lobster is finished, and I garnished it with a little bit of parsley and some Texas toast. And as you can see, this is our final product. And this is guaranteed to get you wifed up. This is guaranteed to get you the girl of your dreams. Like, I'm not lying to you. I wouldn't send you off. So go ahead and try this recipe out. Let me know how it turns out. If you got the girl, if you got the boy. Like, comment, subscribe, and make sure you share this video and turn the notification bell for any more. And make sure, y'all, to let me know what I should cook next. I really appreciate the feedback. I really appreciate the support. And I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching.